Hi, this is Chris German from the Apartment Dealer. And as we get ready to host our Apartment Owners Educational Webinar, I wanted to invite Mr. Gil Figueroa to share his thoughts leading into the event. Now, why should you care what Gil has to say? Because for nearly 3 decades now, Gil has been involved in commercial lending, and his knowledge goes beyond just commercial loans. His understanding of the fundamentals of the stock market, bonds, treasuries, and so forth, all of it is interrelated. It has everything to do with what direction the market is headed. And if you've been to our events in the past, you know that he's been able to perfectly time corrections in the market with respect to the interest rates. Interestingly enough, he and I had lunch just a couple of weeks ago, and he said, look, there's going to be a downward trend in the stock market, which we're seeing right now at the recording of this video. So it's just that knowledge that Gil brings, and we're excited to share him with you. So let's welcome Mr. Gil Figueroa. Well, welcome back again, Gil. And I know the landlords are excited to see you at our next educational webinar here coming up shortly. And I guess it's been nearly a decade now that we've been doing this. And, like any other time, the climate's changing. There's things to know. And so to that effect, let me ask you, we were together maybe less than 6 months ago at our last educational event. What would you say has changed the most since then, and that you plan to discuss at our upcoming event?
Well, Chris, just recently we had the 10-year Treasury, dropped to 122 in early August, and now we're up as high as 155. We're having a slight correction in the market, and there's not a flight to safety. So that's my main concern with Treasuries right now, that we're going to definitely address. So the key question is, are we headed higher? Are we headed for a trend change? So that's one thing that I'm going to completely analyze and have ready for our seminar.
And of course, this seems to be changing daily and progressing daily, right? So we have some more lead time before the event. So I'm sure come the event, you'll have that much more data to help you give some sense of direction to the landlords. Now, let me ask you this question. What has Gil up late at night, has him awake on his pillow? What are you thinking about in terms of the climate of, whether it's the climate of the political issues that are now here in the nation, or economics? What are you most mindful of that you think landlords should be mindful of as well?
Well, I mean, we have global debt that's completely, I don't know the multiplier, but I'm assuming it's over 100 times of what we've ever had in the past. We have a big Chinese firm, Evergrande, that's in trouble. And the question is, what kind of contagion are we going to have with other banks that are invested as such? So the question I have is, how does this debt get handled? Are we setting it up for an exit strategy with hyperinflation or inflation to exit? Or what other manner? How does this get handled? And what would it do to our treasuries, our interest rate, and our market?
And so unprecedented, we're tired of that word, especially in light of, the recent health issues and so forth. But obviously the dynamic has changed, especially here at home. Regardless of which way politically one may lean, I think all sides have to agree we're reaching a cliff here. We're reaching a cliff here where the freedoms, and more importantly, the economic policies such as capitalism, are being more and more threatened. Personal freedoms and the ability to freely exercise within the markets that we've been used to. Do you think that, and I saw Stephen All here recently, and I said, hey, the question is, post-COVID, is this the way things should have been, where the markets were flying high, everybody has more than enough cash, everyone feels rosy? Or is this just the high of a lot of government stimulus, but seeing the way that the government is reacting and the political climate of the country, is the reality that we're going to see, say, within the next few months, going to be a real shock to most, and especially to landlords?
Chris, it's all subject to debt, treasuries, and how it gets handled, how this gets worked out. I'm going to have a great analysis for us that is going to really spell out where we're headed. I do believe there's a lot of big waves to handle. As far as direction's concerned, there's everyone has an opinion whether it's deflation or inflation. And the question really is, are we going to have stagflation? We have, non-growth in GDP with higher interest rates and cost of goods to be higher. So that's something I'm going to touch on as well.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I know that the landlords, the apartment owners are grateful that, to have you be a part of the event and with all the insight that you bring. We look forward to having you, and we look forward to the information that you look to share. So we'll see you then.
Thank you, Chris. I'm excited. Thank you.